Okay. All right, girls, today I want to talk to you and look at expository text. You'll see here on the chart that I wrote expository text, and that means it's a book that is fact-based, and it tells us information. All right. One type of expository text is biography. And so since you're doing a research project with Mrs. Hayes in your classroom and you have to write a biography, we're going to take a look at a biography today. If you remember, a biography is a true story about a person's life written by someone else. You remember last week when we read the biography about Abigail Adams?
Yeah.
And then we created questions about her life. Yeah, so we're going to look at a different person today. And while I'm reading the story, I want to stop and point out some of the features that you might see inside a biography. I want to read this book, and it's called Sojourner Truth, A Voice for Freedom, and it's by Patricia and Fred McKissack. And let's remember that a biography is a true story about a person's life. And I really want us to go over some of the features of a biography because it helps us understand how an author would organize their writing. And so when we go to write and do our research, we can keep our writing organized the way that maybe some of the authors that we're going to look at today. While I'm reading, I want to stop and point out some of the features in this book, and then we will write them under here where it says features of biography to help us remember them. We're not going to have time to read the whole book today. We're just going to read pieces of it, and then we'll look at this book again later this week. All right. So I want to look right here in the beginning of the book, and it says table of contents. Do you see that? Why do you think the authors, Patricia and Fred McKissack, included a table of contents? How does this help us when we're reading? What do you think, hon?
To know what the chapters are and to know what it's about in the title.
Yeah, this definitely helps me, right? And what page? Great. Tells me what each section or which chapter is going to be about and then the page number. So if I needed a quick reference and I wanted to find out where the timeline was, I could zip my finger down to where it says timeline and then over and go to page 29, so I wouldn't have to read the whole story again. Yeah, so this is definitely a feature of expository text, and in our biography it has a table of contents. So I'm going to add that to our chart. Good job. All right, moving on. This here is the beginning of the book, and it says chapter 1, never lie, never steal, trust in God. This is the name of the chapter or the heading. Why do you think the author might put a heading here? How does that help us when we're reading?
To know what it's about.
Yeah, now we know what this section is about, right? Never lie, never steal, trust in God. All right, so I just want to read a few pages to you, and then I want to stop and point out something else. But before I do that, let me write a heading under one of our features. All right. So we have table of contents and headings, and we didn't even read the story yet. So we already found two features. Let's go. Never lie, never steal, trust in God. Sojourner's Truth, real name was Isabella. Slaves didn't have last names, she said. I was just called Belle. Belle was born sometime in 1797 in Hurley, New York. Her mother, Mau Mau Bet, and father, Baumfree, were slaves owned by a Dutch farmer. Belle was the youngest of 9 children. Her brothers and sisters had been sold as slaves to other masters. Belle's mother never knew when Belle would be sold. So she told Belle 3 rules that would help her when she was on her own. Never lie, never steal, trust in God. When Belle was 11 years old, she was sold away from her parents. Until then, Belle spoke only Dutch. Her new master spoke only English. She could not understand her master's orders. The master's wife beat Belle to make her speak English. The girl tried, but English words were hard to learn. In time, Belle learned English, but she always spoke with a Dutch accent. You know, while I was reading that part, I started to think, this sounds like a story. Yeah, I know that it has a table of contents and it has chapter headings, but it also sounds like a story. It's reading to me like a story. That's another feature that we might find in expository text or in the biographies that you're going to work with this week. So I want to add that to our chart. It sounds like a story. It has a beginning, a middle, and an ending, right?
Yeah.
I have to squeeze that in there. So even though that this is a biography and it's fact-based, it tells us information, it's a true story about a person's life, the authors made it sound like a story. They wrote it with a beginning, a middle, and an ending. And that's pretty common when we look at our biographies. I want to skip ahead to page 9 and 10. This is chapter 2. Slave no more. So here's another heading. And now I know that this section will be about when she is not a slave anymore. New York State passed a law in 1817 that freed some slaves. The law said that most slaves would be freed on July 4th, 1827. Dumont told Belle he would set her free a year early if she agreed to work extra hard. She planted corn, harvested the crops, and hauled buckets of water. But Dumont didn't free Belle. He did not keep his promise. He said he had not worked hard enough. That's when Belle decided to run away. "I'll be a slave no more," she said. Belle took her baby daughter Sophie and ran away. She was helped by a Quaker family. Quakers are a religious people who are against slavery and war. You know, I noticed on page 10 that there's a word here that I really wasn't familiar with. She was helped by a Quaker family. Do you know what a Quaker is? No. Yet, sometimes in a biography or an expository text, we will find words that we don't know what they are. We've never heard them before. But look what the authors did to help us understand. Quakers are a religious people who are against slavery and war. What did the author do there after he wrote the word Quakers?
They told us what the Quakers are.
Yeah, they tell us the meaning of the word, right? So that even though they put a new word in here, Quakers, and we might not have heard that before, they tell us in the very next sentence what Quakers are. Quakers are a religious people who are against slavery and war. So often when you're reading a biography, you will find words that you might not know, and often the author will put what the word means right after it. Those are called embedded definitions. So I want to add that to our list. Good job. Excellent. There's one more part that I want to show you. And I'm going to skip ahead all the way towards the end of the book. Do you know what that says? Go ahead.
Timeline.
Yeah, a timeline. Have you seen a timeline before?
No.
All right. So timelines are usually written on a line, and they have a date and then a sentence or two next to them. This timeline tells us the important events that happened in Sojourner Truth's life. So if I wanted to know when she was born, I could look at the timeline and say, okay, she was born in Hurley, New York, and the year was 1797. Yeah, this, when I'm reading, helps me keep her life organized. It usually starts at the time that they were born and ends when they die. And then in between, there'll be significant events. So for example, when I was reading the beginning of the story, we learned that Sojourner Truth, her real name was Isabel. But then she changes her name in 1843 to Sojourner Truth. So timelines can help me keep my thoughts organized. And that way, it's a quick way for me to see some of the important events in her life and when they happened. Okay? Great job. I want to add timeline to our features. So, although we didn't have time to read this whole book, we found quite a few features of biographies. The first one was that sometimes they have a table of contents. What was the next one?
Heading.
Headings. Headings tell me what the section will be about. And then we said it sounds
Like a
story. It had a beginning, a middle, and an ending. Yeah. And then this was something brand new for us. It was an embedded definition. So a word in the story that we might not know what it means, but the author puts what right after it?
Question.
Not a question after it.
No.
What did he put right after it?
He put it what it means.
Yeah, he put what the word means right after the word so that when I was reading, it would help me understand the story. And then the last thing that we looked at was
Timeline.
a timeline. And what did timelines tell you?
When you're born, when you die.
And then what was in between?
Like.
What was in between in this timeline?
She changed her name.
Yeah, it told me significant events, important things that happened in her life in between the time that she was born and in between the time that she had passed. Okay? So now I would like you to take a look at another biography, and I wrote this one. It's also about Sojourner Truth. And while you're working, I want you to use your partner, and I want you to take a pencil and look for things that could be a feature of a biography. Can you find any headings? Does it sound like a story? Was there a beginning, middle, and ending? While you were reading, were there any embedded definitions that you could find? And was there a timeline? So I'm going to pause the video while you begin to work. And then when you find all the answers, we can come back and we'll talk about some of the things that you found, some of the features that you found in the biography. Okay? All right, now that you girls have had time to read the biography and to circle some of the features, can you tell me some of the features of the biography that you found while you were reading your text? Go ahead.
Headings.
What headings did you find?
Early life.
Okay, what did it tell you in early life? How did that help you?
It told us about what Dutch mean.
Early life tells you what Dutch means?
No.
In the section early life, what did you learn about?
She was born in the same.
Girls, early life. So that tells you about her early life. Good job. Are there any other headings that you found?
Adult life.
So what did that section tell you about?
She's an adult.
It told you about her adult life, right? When you turned the page, what section did you find there? What heading did you find there? What was it called?
Achievement.
Achievement. So that section told you what?
Working hard. What her achievement.
It told you about her achievements. Good job. Did you find any other features from our biography?
Yes.
What did you find?
A timeline.
There was a timeline. What did the timeline tell you?
It told us when she was born to when she died.
Did it tell you anything else besides when she's born or when she died?
And when she started her new name.
Okay.
And she ran away.
Okay. Did you find any embedded definitions?
Yes. Yes.
What were they?
They were Dutch.
Yeah, what did Dutch mean?
Is a language spoken with the Netherlands.
Yeah, it's a different language spoken in the Netherlands. Dutch was a word introduced that you might not have known before. Excellent job, but it seems like you found a few more. I want to say great job today. We found a lot of features of biographies, and we're going to continue this work again tomorrow. Okay, great job.